spent my first 15 years trying to get out of the woods because I thought it was horrible. And I spent the next 20 years trying to get back. The truth of the matter is we need to be well-rounded individuals like our forefathers were.
Hey, here we are again. It is another Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern here in the hills of Appalachia. Good old Appalachia Stan. I'm your host, T, and everybody's running behind. As you can see, a couple minutes behind. Guests are running behind. The only person that is ever on time is the Russ of Oz back there behind the curtains, Broken Spokes Productions, pulling all the levers, doing all the things. Welcome. Glad all you guys could be a part of what we're doing here tonight. Who we got in the house? Of course, Swordsman 007. We got K-Love. We've got the Patrick, Mr. Patrick 7. All of our awesome people, all of our awesome community, all here as one. Mr. Matt King, what's going on? Mrs. Teresa. Love all you guys. Appreciate you tuning in. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you can. Help us out. Every little bit counts. I've got Russ throwing me some stuff here in the private chat. And, oh, never mind. I already did it. Cool. Thanks for the reminder. This episode tonight, I don't know what episode number it is. Couldn't tell you. But it's brought to you by Soil Saviors, which happens to be our guest tonight. Just so happens to be. So, Soil Saviors, if you want nutrient-dense fruits and vegetables, you have to have nutrients-dense soil. And Soil Saviors is the way to make that happen, guys. It's the way to make it happen. Regenerative Orchards, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. Glad you could be here. Been following your stuff on TikTok. Good stuff. If you guys check out Regenerative Orchards on, I think he's on all the social media stuff, but been learning a little stuff from that gentleman right there. Thanks for being a part of it. He's a fan of Mr. Billy Bond, the Bone Sauce. And it's good stuff. It's good stuff. The bone sauce is good stuff as well. And it just so happens that I have some right here. If you guys are worried about your fruit trees and deer eating them, this is what you need right here. Jump on over there to Perma Pastures Farm. Get yourself some Billy's Bone Sauce. Throw that on the tree and you will have no issues with them pesky deer eating your trees. You don't have to put up no fences. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You just use good old Billy's Bone Sauce, and it will hook them trees up. What else we got? Mountain Readiness. Mountain Readiness May. We have added more people. Check out the website. We've got Kevin Estella is on there now. I can't even remember who all we got on there. Oh, Gorilla Medical, guys. Gorilla Medical will be joining us. 3 of their instructors. They're going to be doing all kinds of awesome, cool med classes. They're going to do a different medical class every day. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're going to be doing medical classes. What else we got? Mountain Readiness West. Of course, our guest tonight will not only be at Mountain Readiness Spring, they will be there at Mountain Readiness West. And they will be there at the Sovereign Health Summit in October with Barbara O'Neill. All those guys. Not only will they be there, they'll be speaking right up there on the big stage where they belong. Spreading truth and getting people on board with soil health. Also, Cell Saviors, bam. Look, we don't just promote anything on this show. We use it. If we promote it, it's because we currently use it. Harvest Right, we own 2 of them. Cell Saviors, Soil Saviors. We use it on our stuff. I just took a picture of our front yard. And remember, it's January, guys. We've had some snow, not a bunch, but we've had some snow. And we have had a lot of cold in the teens, the 20s. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but that is currently at 5:30 p.m. today. If you look behind all that green is all kinds of brown and dead. That is what Soil Saviors does for you right there, man. Look at that. That is just like the Emerald Isles of Ireland right there. That's what you get when you use Soil Saviors. So, guys, check them out. Soil Saviors, Cell Saviors. We'll be promoting them throughout the podcast tonight as well. We got Tom in the house. What's going on, Tom Bryce? Look, guys, we're going to bring our guest out here in just a second. If you have a question for these gentlemen, hashtag soil for any of your questions concerning soil health, cellular health, combat, anything else that we can think of. Let's get down to it. So tonight, our focus is super soil to superhuman. What do you get when you combine a champion mixed martial artist and a holistic health practitioner? This is like a joke. This is like, what do you get? A health practitioner and a MMA cage fighter walk into a bar. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's kind of like that, but you get a powerful union focused on optimizing both soil health and cellular health because resistant bodies start from the ground up. Today's episode brings together two masters from very different worlds, united by one mission: human resilience. Pat Miletich, a former UFC Welterweight Champion, UFC Hall of Famer, and lifelong expert in combat, self-defense, and human performance. Decades of experience training elite military and law enforcement units. Alongside of him, Doc Wil Spencer, who will be in the chat here in the backstage here pretty soon, is what he said. He's running a little bit behind. That's okay. He's a busy man. Will, holistic health practitioner, master herbalist, founder of the Body Electrician, who has spent nearly 3 decades guiding people towards healing through nature, energy, and the body's innate intelligence. So without further ado, Russ, bring out at least one of our guests, the champ, Mr. Pat Miletich.
Well, how are you, Bob?
Man, I'm hanging in there. How's life there in the Arctic front?
Siberia is treating me well.
Yeah, every time I see Mariah or one of y'all post a picture, I'm like, nope, it looks too cold for me. I'm going to have to pass on it. That's,
the chickens don't die, so there's, we got that going for us.
Exactly. No, that's a good thing. Not dying is a good thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you joining me, man. It's been a while. It was last fall when we last chatted, and it wasn't that long. Every time we do these events, I just kind of see you as I'm running by. That's all we get. So it's good to get on a show and chat and catch up and talk about things that are important and things that matter. What have you been up to here lately, Pat?
Just today, Mariah and I had a meeting with some gentlemen from a community in North Dakota. It's about a 8,000 person community that's really wanting some answers. They're wanting some answers for their health or their vitality. They want some answers for solutions for their soil. They know there's problems. They're not getting answers from very many sources. And they want some self-defense as well, some physical self-defense. They want, as a community, to just raise the bar, right? And so we had a great meeting, great talk with them. And a lot of communities are starting to realize that there are solutions and that intelligent people everywhere are now waking up that there are solutions, but they haven't necessarily done enough of the research. So they need to tap into guys like Doc Wil, myself, Mariah, and many others out there. Not many, but there's a good number of us to assist them in helping them kind of bring their communities back, not only with their vitality in life, but being able to unite in a way, just as we talked about victory gardens during World War II. were for the security, the food security of an entire nation. Well, we're looking at that on a lot of different fronts right now in the world. So that's kind of what's going on.
Man, that sounds awesome. I couldn't agree more. And the infamous Doc Wil Spencer is in the house now, so we're going to bring him up here. Pow, there he is. There he is. Will, what's going on, man?
Hey, good evening. Just doing some traveling, heading to do some soil field trials down in Louisiana.
Down in Louisiana. Well, at least it'll be warmer. At least it's warmer.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a little bit of a trip for you too.
It's a little bit. It's all right though.
So, you are always on the road, and I tell you, health has to be tip top shape as much traveling as you do.
It does. I pretty much follow my own protocols and take care of myself and get as much exercise as I can, and follow what I recommend people to do. So, and then on the road, it's a little more challenging out on the road, but I'm used to it. So it's just not a thing. It's just life. So,
right. You pack all the food with you, or what's the regiment?
Mostly. I try to. I found some really good suppliers of what I can't think. It's like sausages and things that are smoked and brined and packaged and stuff, and with no, all from animals that are grass fed, and everything is natural and taken care of, and sustainable. They use our products on their animals and their soil, and so that's how I support my people, is I buy things from them, and then when I can't, I run out or I'm on the road for too long, then I still shop and do the best thing I can, but I have a grill and a hot plate that I use in the camper. And eat a lot of cheese, and
hey, I eat my body weight in cheese.
Yeah, right.
It could be worse. But let's dive into it. I know, most everybody in the chat and everybody knows who you guys are. You guys are legends, both of you, legends in your own rights. But give some background, because both of you guys started out in situations of having respiratory issues, having illnesses. Pat, I believe you even said, even as you were fighting, it was later on in your fighting career where you got yourself really ironed out with the breathing and things like that. Do you want to start out?
Well, I was actually able to solve my respiratory issues actually very early on. I was lucky because I had fought some amateur kickboxing matches, and I was getting ready to turn pro. And it was when I realized that I still couldn't breathe correctly, that I was probably going to get sent to a hospital at some point in kickboxing, and then of course eventually MMA and the UFC. That the UFC would have never happened had I not figured that out. I can say that.
Right. What and Will, you as well. You were around the commercial style farming life, correct? It was
my dad. My dad
Okay.
went from a small farmer, 380 acres, diverse farming, no chemicals. He went to large, over 3,000 acres with an airplane and a helicopter to spray pesticides. And that's, I was about 3 when he transitioned. And from as early as I can remember until right at about 20, I had asthma, bronchitis, over 75 food and environmental allergies, overweight, just all kinds of problems. Breathing was my main thing as well. And that was one of the things that really connected Pat and I. Was on the respiratory health and how how everything works. Because if we can't breathe, we're dead. And so, we both, Pat and I, are experienced in that, but we came from different angles. There was mold and the farm stuff, but it was more chemicals. And then just growing up in a violent home, there was that negative aspect and trauma and stuff involved. So you just all that, and it wasn't until A really good friend of mine, a Vietnam vet, gave me a glass of tea, and here, drink this. And in about 20 minutes, I took my first deep breath ever in my entire life, and it radicalized me. I was off all the pharmaceuticals. I had 4 different, those chemical puffer inhalers. I was taking pills. I was getting shots, having pneumonia and bronchitis just over and over and over again. And in 20 minutes, it all went away.
Wow. I need a shot of that.
Mine took a little longer. It took about 10 days.
10 days to get it ironed out. I mean, so was yours is just a severe, Pat, or you just kind of got used to dealing with not being okay?
You make adjustments. Running was very hard, because as a wrestler in Iowa, wrestling is king. Running is a huge part of wrestling because you've got to have the cardio base, running hills, sprints, longer distance, different types of running, stadium stairs, track sprints, all kinds of different stuff. You don't just wrestle, right? That's not it. You got to lift, you got to do all kinds of stuff. So everything was miserable. Everything was horrible. Everything sucked because I was breathing through a straw full of mucus when everybody else had, clear airways for the most part. So what happens when you spend your entire life trying to keep up with everybody else? And I did an okay job. I was an all-state wrestler, and I was a good athlete. But when all of a sudden that goes away and you can breathe perfectly and you're used to working 3 times as hard as everybody else to keep up, all of a sudden you just blow past everybody. I mean, I went from struggling on 3-mile runs to literally on trail races when I was in my early 20s. I was crushing cross-country, like college, university cross-country running teams on trail races and stuff. And I was just there to do it for shits and giggles, so to speak, training for fights at that point, stuff like that. So it changes everything. And so for the people out there that are watching this who are, struggling with their breathing, their endurance, their energy, all those sort of things, there's real solutions for you. There really are for those situations. You just have to know what to put in your body to remove the things that are causing problems and put the things into your body and into your cells that are going to turn you into the human you're supposed to be and allow you to experience the life you're supposed to experience. That's all.
And that turnaround was just 10 days. That's just mind blowing. I mean, what was the biggest discerning factor of what you did to make that huge improvement?
At that time, I used a lot of antioxidants from fruits and berries, concentrated, micronized, and I used colloidal silver at the time back in the day and a few other things, and it worked. It worked. But Will and I have talked about this, and Will's like, now it's so toxic in the environment, number one. And on top of that, 40 years ago, they were still growing berries and grapes and things like that with real inputs. Now they're growing everything with synthetics. So the antioxidant powers and qualities and medicinal powers of our food have been decimated by, people just thinking about the money and not understanding that, the statement, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food, was for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so hell, I mean, it's the sad part is that the key, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, the basic of that, just that statement alone is the key to great health is good food. But the struggle we have here in this day and age is it's so hard to find that. I was just walking through one of the chain stores just the other day. And you remember a year or so ago, I started seeing the packages and it said may contain bioengineered, ingredients. Yep. Now almost everything just says contains bioengineered ingredients. Let's talk about that. Bioengineered ingredients. What is that doing to our bodies? What kind of havoc is that wreaking on us? What do you say about that, Will?
Well, bioengineered is biologically engineered, and they're messing with it biologically, elementally, in different ways, several different ways. We answer the other question first. It's causing all kinds of problems. We kind of specialize in identifying those problems and the toxins. I have not done a scan on any human being in just over 26,000 times that did not have a systemic toxicity of some kind: heavy metals, petrochemicals, pesticide residues, genetically modified protein. Everyone's got it. It's just a thing. And so anyone that tells me that that says that statement out loud, let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food, it's not possible today. I don't care where you live. Your food is your poison today, unless you're doing something about it. And that's what I love about Pat and you. Like we're doing something of correcting the problem. And so the bioengineered stuff, it comes in a lot of different manipulation. A lot of those synthetics that Pat was just mentioning is used in the fields on the plants. It's used in the growing the seed that then will then grow the next plant that you buy your seeds, and then you grow them. Those are bioengineered if they're using pesticides, commercial fertilizers, any genetic modification at all. And then it gets harvested, it goes into the food chain, the supply chain. And then every time, literally, I've hauled strawberries. I used to drive truck, and my family's had trucks. Third generation. I actually sold my last truck in 2008 and got out of that mess. But I used to haul fruits and vegetables out of southern Florida, California, Texas, Arizona, Alabama, all up to Minnesota where I used to live, and back and forth. And the amount of food, like strawberries, for instance, they gas them. They put them on your truck. They put a bag over the pallet. They gas them again, and then you got a time limit to get up. 36 hours or whatever it is to get up to the warehouse to unload, and then they gas them again. They're using all different kinds of things in there.
Wow!
And so,
and we are ingesting it.
When it comes down to, go ahead, Will.
And that goes for organic and not. I mean, they're using fungicides and certain things. So organic standards does not cover the plant, the material, the crop once it leaves the farm. It's still got to go through the supply chain. It gets treated just like everything else.
And I just saw that the appeal is now they got labeled organic. Because you just got to scratch the right backs and pad the right pockets, evidently. And that appeal stuff, man, that stuff, I'm not even kidding you, it freaks me out. We bought some fruit from the store here a while back. I quit buying it. I don't know. Do you buy anything? Do either of you buy any fruit whatsoever from any of the chain stores at all anymore?
I mean, maybe from Whole Foods and things like that, but I can't assure that at least they probably took steps to make it a little better. We'll just say that whatever that is. But what we're talking about here is that the buying criteria of Americans, because of their lack of education and research, their buying criteria is so low that they're buying, like Will and I have talked about this, for biochar purposes. People are using food waste and other things. I wouldn't put what they're feeding kids at school from a biochar from that in the soil in our garden. That's how bad it is. And they're feeding it to your kids. That's how low the buying criteria is for Americans until they get the education and go, holy cow, what have I been doing to my children? What have I been doing, right? So that's really what it comes down to, is people have to know the problems before they can even make the connections and then the solutions, right?
Right. We bought some fruit here. It's been quite a while back, and I kid you not, it looked beautiful. It was beautiful. There was nothing wrong exterior of this fruit. It was some strawberries.
Plastic. It was plastic.
Yeah, it was. I brought this stuff home, and everything, we cut open the apples, we cut open the strawberry, everything, blueberries, and it was all rotted from the inside out. Like it looked like it had just been picked off the tree and stuck on the shelf. It was all rotted. It was not edible whatsoever. Blew my mind. I quit buying it. What's the point? You know, if it can make something look that nice sitting on a shelf and it's right. I thought it was like the, the witch from Snow White. You know, she gives her the apple and all of a sudden she bites it. It turns all poisonous and toxic. That's exactly what we had on our hands right there. So, but I mean, are they doing it on purpose? Is that where we're at? Is it just we need to thin the population?
I don't believe that at all. The people growing the bulk of the fruits and vegetables, I think it's the insurance company that the farmers are using to certify for crop loss, and the banks that are controlling everything, because most farming has to have the insurance and the bank involved, and they dictate what they can grow. And if you want to grow certain things, you have to obey by the rules, unless you're like me. I mean, like me, I farmed since the 90s myself, and I've never been in that situation. I am a direct-to-consumer farmer, and so I like to sell directly to the customer or to a co-op that then will sell, so taking out as many middlemen as possible, because I want people to know how I raise my stuff, whether that's cows or goats or pigs or chickens, because that to me is my marketing. If they can come visit my farm, see my animals, see how I'm doing things, and then I've got a customer forever. Because we're doing all these extra steps because we figured these things out. We're feeding the soil, we're doing things to the animals, there's the whole food chain. And so in the modern bigger farmer is really constrained. And then you have the universities teaching a certain way of agriculture, which is, it has nothing to do with natural sciences at all. It's all academic, clinical science. It's not anything to do with nurturing nature and working with nature to get the maximum out of it. It's about synthesizing, controlling, forcing, which is not a healthy choice.
Yes, I agree. Let's talk about how you guys met, because I mean, how do these worlds collide? I know breathing was a lot of it, but give us the backstory of how did you guys just run into each other one day? I mean, how did this come about?
Well, Colonel Pete introduced us via text, I think was first. Then Will and I had a really good long first phone call. I had been stumbling around in the dark, bouncing my face off of oak trees in the woods, literally looking for people that understood what I was saying. And everywhere I went, people looked at me like I had three heads. And I'm going, how is it these people are so-called ag experts, and they don't even know what I'm talking about? Or, even in human health and performance, I had been, freaking out about this stuff for quite a long time. And Will goes, yeah. And on top of that, and he would add, right? And so I go, okay, this is the guy that knows what he's talking about. And so then we went on a 6-week road trip in his 40-foot camper, went all the way to California and back, with a lot of stops with ag folks and indigenous leaders and groups of folks. And we had a lot of conversations along the way. Will hit me with the protocol for my brain parasite, nervous system, and other infections that I had going, because I had depleted my body. I ran myself into the ground so severely with so much travel. I mean, I was doing, for a lot of years after fighting and coaching, I was doing 40 to 43 shows a year. So you imagine the number of air flights that I took for, up to 14, 15 years. So I was on the road, constantly on airplanes and eating incorrectly. And then as it got worse, my anxiety, depression, things like that got worse. I was medicating with alcohol. And so that's what I would do. And Will did a scan on me and goes, yeah, you got worms in your brain.
That's a good way to start it off.
Yeah. And so it was great. It was incredible. It was an incredible experience. And we hit it off, and we speak each other's language.
No, you guys complement each other very well. I will say that. It's always a pleasure listening to the both of you guys talk. and where one stops, the other picks right up. Match made in heaven, you two. Match made in heaven. And congratulations.
Seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And congratulations, Pat. I saw that post, 2 years of sobriety, not touching anything.
2 years and almost 4 months now.
Man, that is awesome. Good for you. And I know you'll keep going.
Yes, sir.
So I seen we had a couple questions here. Let's pop this in here. Let's see here. Kay Love, she says, question, what's your feed on the following? How do you feel about raising crops on soil after land has been strip mined? Does the soil regenerate itself over years? What about toxic runoffs? Or would you avoid buying land that's been mined altogether?
I wouldn't. I would totally want to buy that because most of your mining overburden and your tailings and things are loaded with nutrition. They're just locked in a form that's not real conducive for quality growing. You've got to do some remediation, and that's where our products work really well. The Soil Savior products, because they have over 1,000 species of organisms that will break all that stuff down and release it into the environment. And so then you have some value. I actually would prefer buying that kind of land because usually you can get it cheaper. Because most people can't use that, but that's one of the little secrets with Soil Savers is you use those products on your soil, you're now releasing you're converting the toxins into usable ingredients and decontaminating, and you're feeding that soil the microbes that then break down all that stuff. And so I would not hesitate at all if you plan on treating and using the soil. You've got to do something though to make it valuable. The value's locked up in it right now and unavailable in most of those mining reclamation cases.
Now let's talk about. We've jumped into Soil Saviors there. I've accidentally covered up half of your face though, Will. But y'all scan that QR code, and jump over there to Soil Saviors. That'll take you right there. And let's talk about the products that Soil Saviors is offering currently.
Yeah, go ahead, Will. Go ahead and talk about it's. I'll break it down first in the I guess the complexities more than anything else for the general public, the gardener. Most people are going to big box stores and buying stuff off the shelf. I won't say any brands or any store names or any of that, but people are going to the store and they're going, oh, this says fertilizer. Okay, I need that. Oh, this is an insecticide, or I need this. And they don't realize what they're putting in their cart to take home to put in their soil to grow their garden, right? They're just not fully aware of the detriment that they can cause their own family. So all those components that are in the box for a reason. The nutrients and the microbes, the collections of and the combinations of. It's a farm in a box, a real farm in a box, a real soil amendment program in a box. So it's 0 to 5 acres. So if you have a garden that's 1/10 of an acre, that's 50 treatments for that one garden, right? So it's not 4 or 5 acres. It's for a garden to use numerous times, massive amounts of nutrients and microbes to use over and over and over again for years to come for most gardeners. Then we've got the 5 to 10 acre box, the 10 to 20 acre box, and the 20 to 40 acre box for people that have a little bigger, operations.
Area. Now, fulvicumic acid, what is it? Why does everything need it? Because it's all over the place now. It's all over the place. Break that down for anybody out here who doesn't know about what that is and why both soil and cellularly we need this.
It's decomposed plant and animal matter, basically, at different stages of decomposition or humification, right? So it can be soft coal, dead seafloor beds, decomposing plant matter that can come from peat bogs, things like that. So there's nutrient rich deposits all over the world of it. Just most people don't know how to use it, and they don't understand it. And the diversity of minerals that are in it and elements that are super important for a plant to grow, for instance, if we're talking plants, for that plant to grow for proper, for it to have proper genetic expression and produce a lot of fruit or vegetables and not have bugs come and eat it. But that's only, one version of the minerals. Then you've got the electrolyte minerals from the ocean and other elements, the earth compound, and Will can get into all the details of all the different, the myceliums, the bacterias, the extremophiles, all of those different things that go into that.
So most people have seen humic matter. They just haven't maybe known or whatever. So if you go into the woods, and a really good example is you've got birch trees or poplar trees where you live, Bob?
Yes.
And so they usually fall down, and then the inside, the fungus breaks down the inside of it, and then the bacteria turn it black. And that black, rich guts of that tree, that is basic. That's your humic matter or humus.
Yeah, part of it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Part of it, exactly. And so what Pat was talking about is for millions of years that's going on. And then layer upon layer and upon layer, and that stuff that's really deep down in some of these forests or bogs or whatever, that is your live, it's full of organisms just teeming with life. It's nutrition that's just unrealized. And when you bring it up and feed it to the microbes that we have, then it just feeds plants like crazy. And then in the box, there's 7 components. One of them is the humic fulvic acid, or the humic. That is one of the ingredients. And there's the other 7 are full of microbes. There's one product that takes 2 years to ferment, and that's what Pat was saying. There's mycelia in there, there's fungus, there's bacteria, there's all these naturally occurring organisms from the environment. And so when it's all been prepared and then packaged for you, and then you take all the ingredients, and there's a recipe in the box. You've seen it, Bob. And then you're basically making a concentrated, a liquid concentrate out of those ingredients, and you stir them all together, kind of like you're baking a cake. And you take then the liquid, mix it with water, and then you apply it. So it's very user friendly. I don't know what your experience is, Bob, but for me, it's one of the easier things. I mean, it does have ingredients and there's a little bit of work involved, but the outcome is definitely worth the little bit of suffering through it.
Absolutely. No, we've used it quite often, and I'm about to spray some more stuff down. We've been moving a bunch of compost and mulch, making a bunch of compost with, processing all the chickens, livestock we've been doing. That stuff makes the best compost around, man. You throw that in there with your mulch, and next thing you know, that stuff is on steroids. But I was just showing before you showed up, Pat, that is Will, that was taken at 5:30 today, and if you look at all the dead in the background,
yeah,
see, but all that green there, that is everywhere where we ran that and sprayed that, and still at January, cold, in the teens. It is just looks lovely, and nothing else around it looks that good.
And the beautiful thing is people can let their kids go out and roll around in it right after it gets sprayed, and it won't harm them. It'll actually help them.
Yeah, exactly.
So the minerals and the ocean minerals and the humic minerals and the microbes, that's like antifreeze. It's really like antifreeze, and so it gives the plant a much wider process temperature range that it will live in. I mean, I've had beans and other tomatoes and things live through 26 and 27 degrees and not die and just keep going. And grass is even a bigger swing than that because they don't really fruit out like that. They're protected with the root system and the crown in the soil more. I mean, they've gone, like you said, how many times has it frozen there and you still got a green grass?
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is last year, everything was all dead. It was just, very sparse. There was, I mean, I don't even think there was any green whatsoever, but, feeding that like that and those roots really getting established down there into the ground, man, it made a humongous difference, difference. We got another question here. What we got? Let's see here. Tom Bryce said, what do you think about Robert Kennedy's new food chart? What's your thoughts on that? You guys okay with what he's doing, or are we just we need to address stuff a little bit more?
Will can start. I'll throw some stuff in there.
Well, I can say it's better than nothing. I'm more for the animal products and fruits and vegetables anyhow, because everything else is, to me, is just toxic. But I think it's a step in the right direction. I'd like to see it even more, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. I try really to stay out of the political opinion side of that, but it's at least something, throw the dog a bone.
And ultimately, I think, again, we go back to what is your buying criteria? What is your criteria? What are your standards for what you'll accept? And when there's a lot more of the highest grade meats and vegetables and fruit out there and how it tastes, that's when you'll realize the difference, right? So I think that Robert Kennedy is, on the surface at least, presenting a really good, I guess, attempt. And I guess the best way that I look at it is what are the intentions? And usually by the intentions, even if they're screwing stuff up, I wanted to say another word, even if they're screwing things up, at least they have good intentions. So I have to go on intentions. I pray that the intentions are good. It seems like things are going in the right direction, but based on my criteria for what's good, look, you can say meat's at the top of the pyramid. You got to have meat. Well, what were the cows eating, and what was it grown with, and all the other things? That's the real pyramid. What is the food being grown with? And then we can talk about what type of food it is.
That's it. Let's see. Regenerative Orchard said vegetables aren't real and try to kill you if you eat them. Ruminant meat and fruits are the real food. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of truth to that. We even tipped, we touched a little bit on that the last time we talked about seeds and and nuts. As far as eating nuts and seeds and things like that. And I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle. I can tell you that as far as Kennedy is concerned. Yeah, anything's better than nothing, but I think there should be a whole lot more done instead of just banning Red 5 or whatever it was he did. That really didn't do a whole lot of anything, in my opinion, because that isn't even really the bad dye. Red, how about yellow 5 or 40 or something?
Blue Lake and all that.
Yeah, and the slow release of this information where it goes, well, Bob Toombs was actually correct all these years. He's not crazy. Is more about in reality, how can they create distractions and diversions to get our attention away from other things that are going on in this country that could potentially be far more sinister than even bad food. So that's super important for people to pay attention to, because when I'm looking at health, when we talk about health, we're not just talking about food or water or the air. We're talking about psychological, spiritual, all the different things that are going on and the manipulation that's going on. And we can see how people are reacting emotionally, depending on the side that they're programmed to be on and the cattle chute that they're in, how they are making really, really emotional decisions and getting themselves in trouble or unalived.
Yes. No,
my
there
question,
are so many Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
So I have a question. It's nice to see the information coming out now. I want to know why some of us knew this in the 1980s and it's just coming out now in public. That's my problem. We've got all these years 40 years of knowledge and before. Like, this is not anything new, really. It's just that it's coming out, being dripped out now. Why now? How come some of us, like Pat and I, we've known for the bulk of our life that a lot of the stuff is not good and bad, and it's that's what bothers me. I mean, I'm really, like I said, I'm happy it's coming out now. It's really, you know, people are ready to start hearing things, but you know, why is it taking so long?
You know, and maybe there's a small part of this, or maybe there's a large part of this, that it's taken this long because people are good with being naive. I don't know. You know, people are good with just being comfortable and being taken care of. And I mean, that could play a part in this too. I know there is evil people that run this world. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But,
right.
You know, we as individuals have become sheep in this world. And we have just gotten good with just being taken care of, and the distraction side of this. I mean, what Pat said was perfect. There is so many things going on in this world. I can't remember them all. I mean, in a week's time, there are so many things that happen in a week. What happened at the first of the week, I've done forgot by the end of the same week.
Yeah, no, it's they're running game on all of us. And here's the thing that I would say is, in terms of all the systems that are in place, right? We know that these are altered, fabricated, false, untrue in terms of what benefits mankind, truly benefits mankind. We know that that's not the case. So these systems that have been created, and I put up in any of these systems a PhD or a doctorate or any of these types of people, and they're heralded amongst their peers. They're respected by the community because of their titles and all these things, and they're protected by that system until they make the mistake of asking questions, and that's when things start to fall apart. And here's what we're dealing with in agriculture. Of course, we're dealing with 60 plus years, 50 plus years of a lot of money that came in to educate people a certain way, and so therefore my confusion, having conversations with quote unquote ag experts years ago and scratching my head walking out of the building going, how do they not know what the hell I'm saying? Well, Upton Sinclair's book, The Jungle, if anybody reads that, they can read that. And Upton Sinclair's quote is, you know, it's difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary demands that he does not. So it's the materialistic needs of mankind and being in fear of being jobless or homeless or all these things that put people in a predicament where they go, short term, I got to pay my bills and I better follow the SOPs of this person. And that's just the way it is. Well, here we are, you know, technically 100 years later, since, you know, Rockefeller's takeover of higher education. And we are dealing with an absolute shit show, right?
As selling out for pieces of paper with dead people on it. That's where we become. Chasing, you know, the money is the root of all evil. And you don't understand that until you start going along through history and seeing what we are willing to do. And you can just say it that way, to pay the bills, right? We've been goaded into the Ponzi scheme to go along to pay the bills. So Matt King says, soil, will this work good on red clay areas, the soil savers? So set Matt up with the best case solution to get the best bang for his bucks. Red clay, how does he deal with this?
There is no soil type that this will not work on. So we can go sands in the desert. We can go red clay from Alabama. You put this stuff on the soil, you start planting some cover crops. You've got to grow some things. You can't just spray this stuff on and expect all kinds of miracles. I mean, things will happen that's positive, but you've got to be growing something really to then get in. But the microbes, they start to populate in there. They start to work down through the rhizosphere, or, you know, the soil, from the top of the soil down in. They'll start to populate down in and grow, and it loosens the clay up. But you really need to grow something to then give it the cover, the root structure. You've got to put some things back in there, as well as the product. So they do amazing things, but you really got to have it in a complete, like for growing system, a farming system, to really maximize that.
Okay. So in the words of our good friend Billy Bond, it's about carbon. Get that carbon there. Grow something there. I tell you, we've been growing up here on the back of the hillside trying to build pasture. And, we started getting kind of the weedy looking stuff growing up. Chop it all down, lay it back down, let it start rotting, and build that carbon. But awesome. There you go, Matt. Get that stuff and spray it down. What else did we have? I seen somebody else said, see here, will it rejuvenate the cattle pasture? What do you have to do other than add your product? Tom Bryce.
You want to go, Pat, or should I?
What do you need to do for a cow pasture?
Yeah, well,
get it rolling again.
Well, a couple of
certainly some dry spread combos and some biology and the foliar spray from Soil Saviors, and Will can go into that a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so you really want to check your plant densities, because you may have to reseed a little bit. So that's one thing. If you're in the cow pastures, that means your ultimate crop is not the grass, but you need the grass to grow, and so that means you need multi-species. And then by applying our stuff, I've got a really good testimonial for you, Bob. This was one of our trial farms in Oklahoma, on a 20-acre pasture. They were basically raising, they would take 2 to 3 crops of hay off and still rotate the cattle through it after in between cuttings. Well, they were doing 70 ton of hay per cutting. They were getting 2 to 3 cuttings a year. And then we applied our stuff, just 2 applications on the field, the Soil Saviors spray, and the next cutting, from one cutting to the next cutting. I don't remember the amount of time, but it's Oklahoma and it's springtime. It jumped to 148 ton. Then they cut that one. Then they applied the second, the second, and it stayed at 148 ton for 2 years. Last year they didn't spray, and it dropped down to 136 ton, and now they'll be spraying again this year to bring that back up again. They did not have to reseed because they had a really good stand. It was just short. Right. And so that's over 100% increase in yield. And so, which is phenomenal. I mean, I'm talking the grass, and I'm not even joking. It was about between your knee and your hip height. I'm 6'2", and so it was fairly decent. I mean, it's a nice stand to get 70 ton. And then when they sprayed that, I've got pictures. I've got pictures of the guy on the tractor standing on the seat, and he couldn't see over the grass.
Oh wow!
And he was complaining because he didn't anticipate. He had to get a bigger tractor that went slower because he couldn't go slow enough with his mower and the baler and everything, because it was literally over double. Went from 70 ton to 148 ton, and that volume increase really made a problem for him because all his equipment was geared and sized for short grass, not above 6 foot grass,
not 6 feet grass.
What a great problem to have, and the cattle.
Oh, no kidding.
The cattle that eat the farmer that bought that hay, he has 800 acres, and I got to talk to him this last fall, and his complaint was that the cattle wouldn't eat his hay until all of this hay was gone.
Now that says something right there.
Yeah.
That's
Animals are not dumb. They wouldn't even touch his hay because he was putting. I mean, he has hundreds of head of cattle that he's feeding, and so. But that was his comment. I asked him what was the downside of buying hay from this particular farmer, and he said, "Well, the only thing I can think of is the cows won't eat my hay until all that's gone, and then they'll eat my hay."
Wow, that is great. That is a great thing to have. That's what we're shooting for. I have high hopes, and I think it's going to happen. I am pretty sure that come spring, my front yard here is just going to explode. And it is growing in the cold right now. It is already at about a foot in certain areas of just this super lush green grass. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to turn the goats loose on this stuff like in February just to get it back under control. Before spring even hits. So
what a great problem, huh?
Yeah.
A great problem to have. Let's talk about Cell Saviors, which is your other product. Bam, that salt. And look here, guys, scan that. If you ain't got some of this salt here, I'm just going to tell you, I use salt from other people, but I used to. Now I use this. Now I use this right here. This is the best salt that you can get, bar none, hands down. And it tastes different. It looks different. Everything about it is better.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell people how to fix themselves medically, but I'm going to tell you from my personal experience, I smoked for years, guys. I smoked since I was like 13 years old, all the way until I was about, good grief, in my early 40s. Like literally 29 years smoked like a freight train. And health got to the point that doctor said, you're going to go on blood pressure medicine. I was like, you know what? I'm going to quit smoking anyway. It's that time. And, but you're going to go on the blood pressure medicine. So I take it, and then they're like, oh yeah, plus you got the cholesterol. So here's some statins, and here's all this. And oh wait, your ankles just swelled up to the size of, you now have cankles. You're holding so much water that you can't even, because they tell you cut out all the sodium. You can't have that sodium. It's bad. It's raising your blood pressure. You gotta get away from it. So I did all these things. Now I feel horrible. My legs are swelled up. I can't squeeze my hands all the way. And I'm like, this is horrible. I called my doctor up. I said, I'm all done. I'm all done using this crap. I'm just done using it. She's like, well, you're going to have a heart attack. I say, it's better than this. It's better than this. I don't care. So I throw it all in the garbage. I call up a buddy of mine and he said, hey, how much salt are you using? I'm like, I'm not using any, man. Like I'm using zero because they told me to. He's like, well, you're an idiot. Like, what are you doing? He's like, what do you think's good salt? He's like, I'm not talking about that salt with the little girl and the cute little galoshes and the umbrella. He said, that's not salt. That's toxic poison. He said, you don't want to use that. He said, good salt water, you need to be taking that in because that makes your cells permeable and it brings water in. And that's why your ankles are swelled up 3 times their size. I was like, you're lying to me. There's no way this is real. So I get on the salt every morning, start taking a big old huge pinch, stick it under the tongue, then drink about a glass of water. Within five days, no water retention, joints, everything comes out of it. Ankles are back together. In a month, I go back into the doctor and she takes my blood pressure and she's like, oh, you've dropped like 30 points. I'm like, yeah. She's like, I told you that blood pressure medicine would work. I said, well, I threw that shit in the garbage is what I did with that. And she's like, what do you mean? Well, what are you taking? I said, I'm taking salt. That's what I'm taking. She's like, no, you're not. I'm like, no, this is all I did different. This is what I did different. I used salt and blew her mind. And then I found another doctor and that was the end of that because it wasn't worth going back to that one. She just wanted to throw me a bunch of pills, but tell everybody about Cell Saviors, what you guys are doing, because there's a lot of unhealthy people in this day and age and the food is the biggest culprit of it. Like you said, what do people do? Like energy wise, just alone. I was talking to Pat just the other day about this. Low energy, low testosterone, hormone issues. I mean, people are falling apart because of what they're eating. How do we combat this?
Yeah, go ahead, Will.
Well, that's what Cell Saviors is about with those products. That is the essentials for life, really. It's so the salt. It's not just salt. It's sea salt. It's ocean. It's dehydrated ocean water. And the ocean is so alive. I mean, I don't really buy into, yeah, there's some toxicity and some things there, but the life that's teeming in the ocean, it is a perpetual cleaning machine. The issues are, everyone's heard of acid rain, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've heard of that for a long time. Well, about 20 years ago, there was a bunch of us importers that pooled our monies together and did some testing of 125 sea salts on the planet. 125 sea salt beds, evaporation beds around the planet, from the Middle East to the Mediterranean to New Zealand to the North Atlantic, everywhere. There was only 2 of those 125 salt beds that did not have any industrial waste in them. 2. Okay. I started buying from those places, which were fairly remote. They're away from industrialization. And that's what's in that jar right there. It's moist. It's not cheap, if you will, because it's still hand harvested. They do not use heavy machinery that's that's dripping oil and got brake residue and metal filings. It's not that at all. It's actually hand harvested with wooden tools, but it's medicine. I mean, salt used to be harvested this way. There's only a couple places on the planet that still do it like this, and away from an industry, so there's no junk in it, and it just tastes different. It tastes different because it's not machine harvested, it's not fast evaporated, it's not handled roughly and pumped and screened and hammered and augered. It's none of that. It's literally carried on the backs of people and on mules, and it is sized, it is screened. And it is kept moist from the oceans to my place. I get it. It's moist. I keep it moist. And that is kind of the key in the whole thing. So it makes it a different product. Most of your salts out there it's highly processed and refined, and they may call it sea salt, but ours is a special salt. You can taste it. You can feel it.
I'm sold. We have blown through an hour. Pat, wrap us up, man. Man, tell everybody, how do we get back on track? What is the first thing that folks need to do to get back on track in this world?
Well, I mean, just we have to come to the understanding, and I think most people have, that the environment's causing some severe problems for us, our families, our kids, and the people around us. That's leading to those side effects being treated by, the community that writes those pieces of paper and sends them off to another place to pick things up. And it's leading to some pretty severe problems where if you have a super healthy community and a nation, they're not as easily duped. They're not as programmable. They're not as prone to fear and trauma. The news scaring them, all these things, and what's believable, right? And why things are happening. So very important for people to understand that there are solutions, that what we're talking about with that fulvic humic acid, the 77 colloids, the 90 essential electrolyte minerals from that salt, the diversity of microbes that need to be in our body that used to be in our soil, all of those things combined are literally the foundation for you to get back to what you're supposed to feel like. The human, the powerful human, the intelligent human, and the spiritual human that we're intended to be. And that's really what this comes down to. And again, once you understand the levels that there are to any game, in MMA, for instance, there's people that are club fighters, and there are world class, and then there are the top 2-3 guys in the world. There's levels to everything. And these supplements are in my humble opinion, through all of my searches and through all the years of Will, 80 years combined, 40 years apiece, you're just not going to find anything better. That's all there is to it. So
it's true biosecurity on all levels, internally to us, outside of it. This is biosecurity. This is the stuff that's missing, and this is why all the stuff is affecting us so negatively. Without these critical things that are in the two sites, the soil savers and the cell savior stuff.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I'm sold 100%. I love the product. I'm going to keep using this every day, every morning. My regiment starts with that right there, and it ends with some soil saver products as well. I appreciate you guys coming on here. I'm looking forward to May, getting back together again, hanging out, listening to you guys, teaching, hanging out around campfires. That's what it's all about, is community coming together and learning from one another. This is what makes the world go around, and I couldn't appreciate you guys more. Thanks a bunch. And can't wait till the next time, guys.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, guys. Well, you know the routine. Appreciate you tuning in with me. Come back next Monday. Also, make sure to tune in with our friend Billy Bond over at Permapastures Farm. We got a special guest coming on that I'll be jumping on with Billy this coming week. It's going to be a great time. You definitely aren't going to want to miss it. We'll see you next Monday. Russ, roll us out of here. Y'all stay safe, stay ready.